Hey, what's going on? Happy Wednesday. Starting off on the Wednesday, kicking off Inspired Life. An Inspired Life, kicking off the Masterclass series this week. And, you know, I think what really led me to want to get back into the groove, it's been, off and on, kind of touch and go for the past, I would say, 8 months. Um, Probably longer than that now. I guess July 6th. This is May. Wow, going on 11 months. So for the past 11 months, it's been kind of touch and go. But I really wanted to come back and kind of kick off, getting back into our lives with with intention around um, our publications over the last couple of years, and just get people back into the flow of reading, learning, doing the self work we talk about all the time that seems logical, yet it becomes even more difficult when we think about what we have to do, what life, how life is lifing for us. And so I said, listen, let's be intentional. Let's walk folks along this journey. Those who want to join, obviously, and those who don't, they don't, but that's all good. This journey of the books that we've written over the past couple of years, and I wanted to start off with Heart Work, which was the first book back in 2020, and just lay some foundation of what an inspired life looks like. Like, what does that mean? What does it mean to have an inspired life? And I think it can mean, a variety of things depending on who you are and how you look at life, how you perceive life, how you operate in life, how you've grown, how you hope to grow. But I wanted to hopefully kind of give a starting point. I had to look back because I'm always looking in my mirror. Yeah, I always wanted to just give a starting point. And I thought the starting point again would be this week to start off with Heart Work. Each week we're going to enter into one of our books for the next 4 weeks. This week would be Heart Work, and Heart Work was a book that I wrote over a period of time. This is the one book that took me the longest to write. And it was the first one. And I always tell people who ask me, about writing books, Glenn, tell me about, I'm interested in writing a book. So many people reach out about writing books, and I was telling them it will be probably your most difficult one, and that's not a bad thing. That can be actually a good thing because depending on what you're writing and why you're writing it, it's going to be a journey within itself. So aside from the content, the journey is going to happen as well. And for me, Heart Work was a deep, reflective journey. Like, I always tell people, I needed to write the book more so than I wanted to write the book. you know, I needed it. I had to begin the process of taking what was in here and putting it down on paper because it was just all inside of me. And I think that's why I always encourage everyone to write a book. And and people say, well, everyone isn't meant to write a book. I'm like, no, I don't mean it like that. I mean everyone needs to get what's in here and what's in here on paper. You can call it a book, you can call it a journal, you can call it whatever you want to call it. Call it an article, it can be a long article, but you need to get it out the inside down on paper. And people say, well, why do you have to get down on paper? You got to get it out somewhere. I just say one of the easier places is to get out on paper. Maybe you can't write. Maybe you have to go writing. Get it out through your voice. Speak it out. But one way or another, if you hold it in and you never speak it out or write it out or get it out in some fashion, then you're going to be holding on to it for as long as you live. And I think to me, that's I guess the lull of life, where we hold on to something as long as we live without ever having given ourselves the joy or the peace, more so probably the peace of just getting it out. So that's what hard work was for me. And I wrote this in kind of a combination of sorts. It was the personal story, a personal lens, with also a professional backdrop. So I wrote the story through how I was moving through my life and my career simultaneously. And I wrote it that way because I believe like that connects with everyone. We are all doing two things. We're growing in our personal life, and we're doing it as we're growing in our career, whatever that may be. And simultaneously, while we're doing it, we're learning about ourselves. We're making mistakes. We're taking right turns when we should have turned left. And we're doing it in the midst of trying to figure out what our gifts are and what our skills are and what our career looks like, and evolving in that space as well. And so what happens is that personal gets into that career and professional space. And sometimes it's really great and sometimes it's really challenging. And so I wrote hard work because I came to that term honestly through a process, because the book had around 50 titles beforehand, and literally 50 titles. But hard work really defined what I feel as though what we do every single day of our lives. Hard work is how we define what we say. We say hard work is how we live, love, and lead from the inside out. That's kind of it. That's how it evolved into this definition of this term, which I think many people really are drawn to. When we say the word hard work, I have people repeat it back to me. I have people tell me about how it really lands with them, how it speaks volumes. I often say that life and leadership is not hard work; it's hard work. It's what we extract from what's within us, and we do this in different ways, and it comes and goes at different times of our life, whether we're 15 years of age to where we're 55. Everyone is moving in different spaces at different times, and it's coming to us via our heart and our mind. It doesn't come at the same time. Marriages struggle because of it. One person is moving at a different pace, different in a different lane than another person. Relationships outside of those types of romantic relationships struggle for it. Friendships, working relationships, community relationships, you name it. It's the interesting dichotomy of sorts that is existing, that the personal strife that's happening while we're trying to build relationship with others that are going through their own personal strife. And we often don't acknowledge, though, and give those relationships and that process grace, to say that just because I'm going through doesn't mean you're going through the same thing. Just because I'm trying to figure out doesn't mean you're trying to figure it out. You could already have figured that out. You're probably trying to figure something else out. We don't provide the grace that is really needed in the space of this experience of hard work, living, loving, and leading from the inside out. So today, what I want to do is I really just want to share with you an excerpt from the book. And then I want to speak on what that excerpt really means, and why it's so important in the context of this book. I wrote Hard Work, 19 Expressions of Heart-Centered Leaders, again, because I needed to pin my life experience as I'm continuing to go through it and have it. I needed to pin it because I needed to say it in the manner in which I could say it best, so that it could help me, because as I wrote it, I was reading it. That's why I always think it's important, if you can write and are able to write and you have an inkling to write, then writing it helps you in a great sense that you're able to pen it, but you're also able to read it. And as I was reading it, I was reliving it, but by reliving it, I was able to do things I hadn't done for a while. One, I was able to sense the presence of the reality of what was happening, or what had happened in life. I was able to actually, at this moment, be present with it, even though I wasn't able to be present with it when it did happen. I was able to be present with the recollection of it, the thoughts of it, the memories of it. I was then able also to come to terms with it, to kind of to feel it a little bit more. Like I was able to, while being present in the recollection, I was able to feel it. I was able to have my emotions about it, cry about it, laugh about it. Just all the things that we're not actually present, we may not do, or we may do without authenticity. And so I was able to be not only present, but I was able to then feel it. And then the last thing that I believe is central and key to any type of growth process is I was able to forgive. And I think, forgiveness is is a tricky old thing. It's when we're thinking about forgiveness, what does it take to forgive? I realized that it just took. People say, "Oh, you can just do it immediately," and I was like, I get the sentiment behind, like, it's a choice, right? Life things are choices, but what I also think it takes to forgive is a level of maturity. I think maturity plays a key role in forgiveness. And why do I say that? I think that as we fully can embrace that, I believe that most of the things that we get upset with, most of the things that we are spiteful towards, most of the things that we hold grudges on or with, are things that really have no true meaning in the grand scheme of life. Now, that this is also now depending on how you view life. I view life as precious, even more so today than I ever have before. It is simply precious. I don't talk about whether it's long or short. Those are some things that are not in my control. In many cases, some are, but most aren't. I just look at it as precious. Life is precious, and because it's precious, my perspective now is that most of the stuff I've not been able to forgive, I can forgive easily now. I'll just forgive it because I'm going to move on. I don't have time to waste my precious time on things that are not really meaningful to in the grand scheme of things in this thing we call life. So those are the three things that I believe that writing really helped me, and especially writing hard work helped me. I was able to be present, I was able to feel, and then I was able to forgive. Presence, feeling, and forgiving. And so I want to read an excerpt from you. Let me get some water. Oh, man. Whew. All right. This is Hard Work, page 26 and 27. These are light glasses, not reading glasses. Probably do need some reading glasses. All right, here we go. In my early college days, my dad was given a life-threatening health diagnosis. By this time, after disappointment after disappointment, I wasn't even clear on what I should do. Should I be there for him while he began going through the process of healing when he couldn't even seem to be there for me when I needed him? Honestly, that question wasn't even really necessary. On the inside, I was scared for him, but on the outside, I kept moving on with my life. Maybe he didn't need me or didn't care if I was there. But whatever the circumstances were, he never mentioned it, and neither did I. At that moment, I just didn't want to be present. I knew the right thing to do was to be there for him. But my pride, my anger, my hurt just would not allow my head to tell my heart to do the right thing. My pain had turned to spite. Those were days I can never get back, and I hurt myself more than anyone else. You see, hurt people have difficulty seeing through the fog of their pain. I couldn't see clearly. Though I was hurt, I was operating my life on crutches of excuses, self-pity, and anger. And so my hurt became the way I lived, processing and thinking every single day about the past and drowning out the hurt with anything available to me. Throughout my college experience, I had a great time. A brief stint with the marching band, and 2 years on the tennis team, and a pledge experience that landed me the line name Perseverance in the Brotherhood of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity. I couldn't have asked for a better time, but the hurt was always there, and it showed up and showed out in the worst of times. Needless to say, alcohol was plentiful in college, and drinking coupled with girls and 18-year-old freedom can be a toxic cocktail, especially when you stir it with deep emotional anguish. Maybe I had a little too much fun at the expense of trying to let loose. Maybe I had a little too much of everything that life had to offer. But what was real for me was I was trying to do all those things without addressing the one thing that I couldn't see my way clear to address: my pain. That was hard work. That's the reason why I wrote Hard Work. Russell Barkley said, the people who need the most love seek love in the most unloving ways. I'm going to say that again. He said, the people that need the most love seek love in the most unloving ways. And that was me. Maybe that's you, and maybe that's been you. Maybe you know someone like that. That I needed the most love, and I was seeking it in the most unloving ways. And it's not that I didn't have love around me, but when you're seeking something, you get blinders on, and you know what I'm talking about. I mean, it doesn't have to be love; it can be anything. Like, it literally, you get these blinders on, and people say, I'm seeking this job that I want, but you may be in a really great job, but for you, the other job that you're seeking is really what you have your eyes set on. So it's difficult for you to even see the blessing that you may have right before you. While I was seeking love, it was difficult for me to see and feel the love around me. I was seeking this love. It was seeking it in my dad. And because of that, I was seeking love in the most unloving ways. Alcohol, girls, partying, you name it. Anything to feel the love that was absent, or the love that I felt that was absent from me. Why does this matter? Why does this matter as it relates to our careers or the workplace or leadership? Well, you probably may already can put one and one together. It matters because we are all seeking something at some point in some way. And love actually is something that I would say definitively, we all are seeking connection and belonging, love. Now, people may say, well, I'm not seeking that at work. And I'm not saying that's the case. Everyone's not coming to work seeking connection. Some people literally come to work because they want a paycheck. But that's not the crux right here. What I'm saying to you is that if we are created and designed for connection and belonging, love, we don't need to seek it at work. We can just be seeking it, period, in life. It influences who we are in the workplace. And it's really important for organizations, places of work, to understand fully if you are suggesting that disconnecting this this feeling, this existence of love, disconnecting it from the workplace, what you were essentially saying is, I need all the people that come into my workplace to be inauthentic and to not do what's natural. To be human is to be naturally inclined to seek connection. And so many of us are seeking it in unloving ways. We're seeking it in ways that we don't even define as unloving. And what happens is that unfolds and unravels into how we build relationship and how we tear down relationship. The key here, or the starting point for anyone, hopefully, is that they identify with this understanding of their journey, their personal journey, whatever that journey is, and wherever they are in that journey, because we're all in different places. And this isn't going to be the sexiest talk for you, but what I can tell you is that when we're in rooms with leaders and we open up with share your personal story, whatever that is, you can share the great things, you can share the struggles, you can share whatever you want to share. Like, we don't put a definition on what your story should be. 90% of the stories we hear in every single room is a story of struggle and triumph, or struggle, triumph, but still kind of working through, right? Why is that? Why is it that most people they automatically go to a story of struggle through the triumph? They want to share that. Why is that, though? Why is it that only 10% of those stories are, I've lived a great life, I have a great family, all is well? Well, I think it's a couple of things. One, there's nobody that's just never had any struggle. Like, that's the first thing. Like, everyone has had some type of struggle. All struggles aren't, this is about, judging struggles, but everyone's lived some type of struggle. That's the first thing. Like, we have that in common. But the second thing I think also is that at a certain point in our lives, and most of these rooms are like older 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, the struggles that we've had in our lives, it's like we get to a maturity point to where we want to share that because we understand what it did for us, and we have this inkling, like, I need people to hear this thing. Like, we have this inkling of connection and connectivity. Like, we want people to hear it because we know it did something for us. I came through, and I want you to hear about this struggle. Like, I think it's just it's intuitive in us just to reflect in our struggles, to say that our struggle can be somebody's come up. Like, we can help somebody. And then I think the variable of the room where we're telling stories is that when one person starts, and another person, and another person, and another person, we begin to feel safer in telling our stories. So by the last person, I mean, it's like a no holds, like, I'm just gonna lay it all out, because 20 people have already spoken. They shared their stories. They shared things you never knew about them. And everyone's learning things about people in the room that they never knew because they've never had the opportunity to share that story. And so by the last person, they feel the safest because, like, everyone's put it all out there. People have gone to jail, been, come back to the world and done something with their life. People have been adopted. People have been going through cancer. People have gone through struggles, financial, you name it. They've gone through all these things, and so people feel safe in this space, and yes, and tears are rolling through this entire experience, and it's hard work defined in that moment for that exercise. It's the first exercise we do with every group. People ask, well, why is it so heavy, Glenn? Like, I said, because we have to get comfortable with one another. We have to build a genuine, authentic connection before we get into anything that's about work. See, work is going to be here. We have the skills, we have the competencies. I'm talking about what is necessary to illuminate the skills and the competencies, what's necessary to actually forge a bond between us so that when we get in complexities, when we get into the dynamics of leadership, followership, such that we can butt heads, we can go toe to toe, but because we have built in and forged a connection that's authentic, that we can go into that place where Dr. Brene Brown talks about the rumble. That's a certain type of rumble, but it's a rumble nonetheless. That exercise is more meaningful, I think, than any exercise that we can do until we do that one, until we are able to reflect and tell our own story in a manner in which shares with someone, allows us to feel a sense of connection, a level of vulnerability. And it doesn't have to be the indiscriminate type of sharing. It's not about telling everything about myself, but it's about saying, this is my story. This is the story that I believe you should know. And 9 times out of 10, most people in those rooms who work together for years, if not decades, have never heard of that story from that person. They didn't know these stories about these people that they work alongside of. And we always ask the question, how do you feel now, knowing what you know, this story of this person or persons that you work with? And 9 out of 10 people say, I feel closer to them in some way. Now, mind you, they haven't had any more deep conversations with each other. They haven't, going out to lunch another 10 times together. It was literally just because of that day, that sharing and connection of stories. They view the person or the persons in the light of connection now, deeper connection. Hard work is about living, loving from the inside out. And there's one way to begin that process, and it's being able to tell your story in some fashion, in some way. Maybe you don't have a group of people around you right now. Maybe you don't exist in that environment at your workplace, but you can start that process now. I talk in the book about how if you don't have the circle of folks to have that experience in the workplace or otherwise, then you can start your own with you, with just journaling, writing down your feelings and your thoughts, asking yourself those questions. In each chapter of this book, in the first part and the second part, we ask questions. We ask questions, like each chapter is like questions, and you have pages where you can write literally to answer those questions. And the idea is that all of us don't have these big circles of friends and coworkers that we trust and we feel comfortable with or safe with. And if that's the case, don't worry. Let the book be your safety space. All right? Like, let the book be your safe zone. But nobody has to read it other than you. But I want us to get comfortable. If we're there emotionally and mentally, if we're there, I want us to get comfortable with being our safe space. Does that make sense? At least try and start in your safe space. If you feel comfortable emotionally and mentally, then I believe that we can be our own safe space and begin to write down our thoughts and The prompts in each of these chapters for this book are very important. I intentionally wrote prompts, questions in each chapter to say, now let's debrief after the chapter. You've read the chapter. Now I want to ask you some questions, right? That's how each chapter is. Like, I want to ask you some questions. You tell me a couple of things, and you write these things for yourself, and you revisit them. I know I've answered my own questions actually. Now I revisit them. I revisit the book. I have to, and every time I revisit the book, it's like I know when I revisit the book, I'm going to find something and feel something, get comfortable with something or get uncomfortable with something, and it's going to push me to do something. Like, I know that each time I read the book. And I'm the one that wrote it, but I know that that's what's happening. And so that's hard work, though. That's every single day. Now imagine you're in a workplace. And I believe in, people that know me understand, I believe in high objectives, high goal setting. I believe in exceeding your competency and your skill. Like, I believe in performance, high performance, excellence. But imagine if you're in a workplace that's a place where people feel safe within themselves, feel safe within the organization, where you speak to them in a loving way. You guide them with policies and standards with love. You support them through your actions that reflect love. That it's not about dumbing down excellence. It's about increasing excellence through the influence of love. Like, that's what it's about. Like, if you imagine, people say, well, love, that's for home and work life. No. In your home life, hopefully you are increasing the level of influence of love in your home life so that you can increase excellence in your home life, in your personal life, in your personal relationships, in your community relationships, in your spiritual relationships. You're increasing love such that you can increase excellence in those relationships. If you're increasing love in those relationships, which hopefully you are, and if you are, then you know I'm speaking gospel, then what's happening is those relationships are increasing in excellence. It's the same in the workplace. Well, Glenn, that's business. No. You see, that's where we have it incorrect. It's not business. See, business is not happening without people. I don't care how far AI evolves. I don't care how technology evolves. It still ain't happening without people. So as long as people are involved, and they will always be involved, then love must be the influence first and foremost. So if love is the first influence, first and foremost, to people increasing, illuminating, then in fact, if you institute love as a foundational influence in your organization, in your business, I don't care what you do, sell a widget, create a widget, do a service, provide, whatever it may be, whatever it is, if you increase the level of love in its influence in the organization's culture, what will happen is you're going to illuminate the people. By illuminating the people, you're going to give them permission to be excellent. That's the flow process. You are giving permission to be excellent, not standard or moderate. Not, I'm just going to do my job. Not quiet quitting. No. I know I'm going into a work environment where I am giving, I am deposited in with love, not only through words, but through actions, through guiding policies. I know that what they say is real. And because of that, I'm able to be the awesome person I am. I'm able to learn. I'm able to fail. I'm able to admit it. I'm able to grow. I'm able to multiply in different ways. I'm able to contribute to the team, ultimately contributing to the business. Ultimately, the business now doesn't lead down, the business leads up. And love is the main influence, is the foundational influence. Everything leads from bottom up. I don't care what relationship you got. The power dynamic flips, and leaders then can be led. It's not top down anymore, it's bottom up. If you're influencing in your home life, if you're influencing with love, if it's the foundation of love, what happens is your children They begin to grow and mature and to lead you. It's when your kid turns and tells you, Daddy, Mommy, those aren't nice words. That's not loving. That's a foundational love in the home when the kids begin to lead up. It's the same in the workplace. When your frontline team members begin to acknowledge openly to managers and supervisors, hey, time out. That's not ethical. That's not what we do here. Our values are different here. We must call that out immediately. We don't speak to people that way. We got to lead up. It's a foundation of love. This is what heart work is about. And when I started speaking about this 10 years ago, you get a lot of hesitation, but we have to openly discuss why it's important to dismantle this idea that love does not already exist in organizations. It's not that it doesn't exist, it's that we are not activating love. We are not providing a safe space for love. We are not designing cultures that illuminate love. And when we do so, when we do the opposite of what we've been doing, when we illuminate love and design a culture of love, and we activate love, we actually then give permission to the human. The natural inclination is to love and connect with one another. But no one's loving and connecting with anyone if they're not feeling safe. No one's loving and connecting with anyone if the words that you say are not reflected in the deeds that you do. That's what we have in our power. Our power is to activate what is natural to us. And in any organization, we have people, and in people, what is natural is love. The academic definition of love that we use now by two medical doctors, that is, medical doctors, that the love is the sum of communications, policies, and actions that create a safe environment. Ask yourself, do you work in an organization that has a culture of love based on that definition? It's the sum of the communications, policies, and actions that create a safe environment. Can you say for sure that that's your workplace? If not, let's get to work. Let's get to work. That's today's session. Heart work. Grab the book if you can. It's on Amazon. Grab the book. Give it a twirl. Give it a read. Give us a shout out. Call us. Hit me up. TikTok, IG. We look forward to working with everyone and anyone throughout the world. We're scaling love in workplaces. Period. Because we know that is the key ingredient. That's the key. And if we can do that, then we can not only be excellent in our professional lives, we can live, love, and lead from the inside out and have a joyous experience in life and in leadership. All right. I appreciate you guys. See you soon. See you next week, actually. All right, on the next one.